Welcome to the Zoom community chat with Public Safety Officer and EMS Director Fred Porter and Fire Chief Murt Durkee. My name is Lauren Bruce, and I'll be moderating the discussion today. A bit of background before we begin. Over the past 3 decades, changes in program practices and the island's population have led to growth in the health and safety services that the town provides, and the space requirements have grown as well. In recent years, staff at the Islesboro Health Center, Public Safety, and the Fire Department have found their facilities to be too small and or inappropriately designed to accommodate the services that they now must provide. So in August of 2021, after the town considered many other options to provide more space, the Select Board authorized 2A architects to prepare a schematic design for a new Islesboro Health Center building. Today's Zoom meeting is the first in a series to bring more information about this project to the members of the Islesboro community. It's our hope that today's chat with Fred and Murt will give you a better understanding of their duties and the challenges presented by their workplace. Please feel free to write a question to us in the question option. It's a question and answer spot I believe at the bottom of your Zoom page. We'll answer questions specific to Fred and Murt first and get to other questions afterwards. So let's begin with our Public Safety Officer, Fred Porter. Thank you.
I'm concerned about, all our space issues. I think that the ability to have a good training space for the ambulance and firefighters is a concern. The room that we're using now is the same one we've had since the building was taken for, a municipal facility. What used to be 20 or 30 people packed into this room, now because of COVID, we can only pack about 7 in here safely. So it limits the ability to be able to have our big training that we've always had. There's no air system in this end of the building. So we have no way to filtrate air to make it safe here. Overall, Murt doesn't have an office. I don't have an office. When I'm talking on the phone, I have to go on my cell phone on private issues. I have to go out in the garage. So that nobody can hear the discussion, which is good in a sense because at least I have privacy there. Things have changed through the last 18 years that I've been here full time. Requirements on us have changed. Training requirements have changed. A lot has changed. Nothing stays the same. In an emergency services, that ability to train and document that training is important. We have the Islesboro Ambulance Association fundraised and got us a brand new mannequin. It's called SimMan, and SimMan is $20,000. We cannot even set up SimMan right now because we don't have the place to set up SimMan. This room is so small. You see behind me where the whiteboard is, that's the depth of our meeting room. We're in hopes that when we do get the training room set up, that we can have drop down tables that would come out of the wall that SimMan would be mounted to. And then when we was done training, we could put SimMan back up in the wall and be done with it. And we can stretch the durability and life out of SimMan to be able to do that. I'm sure Murt, and he'll speak to this in a minute, has training props that he would like to be able to use in the meeting room. And right now we just don't have the place to put it. I mean, we've got everything packed into a corner because if we spread it out, it takes up the whole meeting room. And because of COVID, we have limitations. In order for us to get our whole services together right now, we would literally have to go out into the garage and move either fire trucks or ambulances out into cold weather to facilitate a large gathering that would be spread out. So for a host of reasons, we've kind of reached what we can do. I'm not quite sure what the solution is other than in fixing the space that we work in so it's a better spot. We'd like to add more to the meeting room. Obviously, behind me, like I said, the depth of the room, we'd like to extend that back. So if the health center moves to their facility, which they're talking about, it would allow us to go back another maybe 20 feet on the room, which could really facilitate a lot more people and make this more usable in COVID days. And I don't think COVID is going anywhere soon. So we've got to learn to work within this environment. With all of that, do you want me to take questions, Lauren, or do you want me to hand the camera over to Murt?
I'm going to get with this technology any minute now. Thank
you
you. No, I will take questions, but we don't have any in the chat box at this point, except to ask you to take off your mask, which thank you very much. That helped a lot. But maybe I'll ask you, I remember talking to you and you talked about having to meet with a young child and interview her or him. I don't remember the gender. Would you talk a little bit about that and the lack of that kind of space?
Yeah, we conducted that interview. It was what we call a forensics interview on a situation a while ago. And it was being conducted here in the room at a time when I thought nobody was even in the building. And this kind of happened. These things in law enforcement drop into your lap. It's like when somebody wants to come tell you something, you don't have time to run around to every door, posting a sign. It was actually after hours, so I didn't think I needed to. And some of the wonderful people that worked responding were doing their job and walked in and didn't know I was conducting that interview. It's, the child had to leave after that because they didn't want to talk. And so this makes it very difficult to try to help people. Sometimes it's just guiding them to the courts. Sometimes it's just trying to give them information they need for their parents. But in the end, we try to make the moment because that moment might be the only moment they have. And when we get interrupted and it's in an open room like this, it can take away a lot quick.
Thank you. I also wondered about, and there was one question that was mailed to me or emailed to me before today, and it was about, do you think that having more workspace and space for amenities, washer, dryer, shower, things like that would help with your ability to recruit, train, and retain staff and volunteers? Go ahead, Fred.
Our training facility, which would be this meeting room, is crucial in bringing in people and being able to properly train them to how we respond to scenes in homes and businesses. Being able to, in all my time, either teaching or in law enforcement or EMS, I've always learned that being able to train people and have them confident makes them more enthusiastic, more willing to get involved, which is infectious. If other people see the pride and the work that they do, and they know that the town cares about the people that do this work and wants to provide them with a facility that is above standard, which is a facility that we could take, that means a lot. That means a lot. And it doesn't matter whether it's fire or EMS or police or even emergency management, because emergency management uses this room. We have training for storm preparation. We have, if people are going to work in the EOC, we bring them here to train them. And having facilities like departments do on the mainland, especially on Islesboro, because people take a lot of pride in what they do when they're involved. It's a good thing.
That's great. Thank you. If you were to say what was the greatest concern about lack of adequate space and your ability to work, I feel like you've answered that. But do you want to add anything about, what's made it the most difficult for you to work and what would help you the most?
Well, obviously, for law enforcement, it's having the ability to store evidence, and be able to interview individuals that need help, or an individual that we're interviewing because of a crime. Being able to do that is crucial for law enforcement. For EMS, I can answer this a bunch of different ways because it's all important. I've had 18 years in this area to be able to think about this and to see how things go. And in EMS, training our EMTs and drivers is a huge need. And we have to have a classroom to do that in. And I can tell you we don't have the classroom for that now. And last but not least, Carrie needs an adequate place to work. I need an adequate office. I don't have my own office. And Murt doesn't have his own office. It's awful hard to get motivated when you're in a meat locker.
I did see another question. Michael, was there another question? I'm not pulling it up here.
It's about the use of the space as the EOC.
What was the question about the EOC?
The current use of the space. What happens when you use it?
Yeah, I'm not
when
seeing.
when we're running an EOC, there's a couple of phases to that. There's the radio control area, which is usually in the room that me and Carrie work in right now. And then there is the ability to be able to do mapping or charting and be able to set up operations. So if we have firefighters out on the road doing trees, or they're helping rescue people out of a flooded area or something like that. And what happens is when the firefighters or EMS or maybe even Public Works get done with whatever they're doing, they're still on standby. And we're trying to use this meeting room. Part of it is the EOC. And everybody comes back and is in this room. So you're trying to chart weather, you're trying to do a host of things, and everybody's in the same room, and everybody does well working together. We've been blessed that everybody's always helpful with everything, but it makes it hard to hear. It makes it hard to concentrate. So having a EOC that we could put a couple of people on computers, one at the radio, would be a big help. And then we could double that room. So when it's not being used for an EOC, the firefighters or the EMS folks could come in and do their electronic reporting on the calls they have in this, because it would be a computer lab too.
That's great. Thank you so much, Fred. I know that there are other people out there who would have more questions. We don't have any more in the question box. I want to let you just have an opportunity if there's anything else that you want to add to what you've already said. You're so passionate about your work, Fred, and you do such an amazing job. So if there's something else that you can add to this, I'm thinking in particular about the need to recruit new people to help with fire and public safety and EMS. Anything you want to add in that or any other regard would be great. And then we'll turn to Murt.
Professionalism is the most important part of the work that we do. It's the confidence we get from training and experience. It's the ability to know that the people that you work for have given you a facility that you can train in that's adequate. The ability to have pride. I mean, that's a big part of it, is when you're recruiting, you want people to feel proud to be part of something. And I guarantee you, no matter what organization you're talking to, the more training they do, the more confidence they have in their training results in what we've had through the years. I have one EMT that's been with us, I believe, 21 years. I have one EMT right now that's been with us for 18 years. And I don't think I have anybody that's under 7 years. We retain people well, but our capabilities for training right now are becoming very limited. So as far as recruitment goes, I think the sooner we have a better facility to train these people in, Also for law enforcement, I've been it for 18 years and I've always done it. And we've hired help from out of town. Them sitting in a room trying to talk on their phone with dispatch and being out in the meeting room to do it. And other people are coming in for calls. It makes it difficult. The sheriff's department comes in and uses our space from time to time, especially now that they're out here on weekends helping out when I'm not on. It's if you want to retain people, you got to give them a professional environment, and good training facilities and good office space is a way to do it. It is the way to do it.
I know that at least one person wanted to come and visit your offices there. And I know you emailed to me and said all they have to do is call up and we'll show them the space and give them a short preview of how we have to deal with it. So is that a fair thing to put out there, Fred?
Anytime that I'm here, I would spend as much time as they need to show them our facilities.
So much. I appreciate it. I'll just see. I don't see any other chat questions. Okay, well, let's turn to Murt Durkee, our fire chief, and let him have an opportunity to share some of his perspective.
Thanks for taking the opportunity to express some thoughts and for the audience to listen. To add to some little bit of history of fire department related, I've been chief now for over 35 years, so there's a few years underneath my belt. I did look up, Fire and EMS moved into this building when it got purchased from the bank and it was sitting idle. And we moved in after renovations of the garage area in 1990. We came from the original fire station up at Durkee's store, which held 2 fire trucks, 1 ambulances. And when I took over as chief and conducted meetings, we had to pull out one of the trucks. And at the time, it had a dirt floor. We had to set up milk crates and planks to be the audience firefighters to sit on. And it was always weather permitting. In the wintertime, we couldn't do that as easy because of the space up there. So we've been thankful that we have what we had at the time, but now we're at a point where it's not adequate. The walls are coming closer to us, and we need more space for offices and storage space. But much improvements in the past, but now it's time to refresh those improvements. When we first moved into this meeting area, this was the only thing that was finished off. The town office and the health center was not even set foot into it yet. It wasn't until a few years later that the town office health center was provided the rest of the space. The Ambulance Association helped with funding for some of the furnishings in here, the kitchen area, cabinets, and that's where we made this place a quite nice meeting room. And it wasn't long before the town eyed it as other meetings for select board, library committee, and different other committees. The station, when we first moved in, was quite spacious and big, but now with the increase of upgrading for apparatus, adding more trucks, we're getting squeezed again. We have a total now of 2 ambulances, 4 fire trucks, and various extra storage that has to stay on the station floor because we have no other vehicle or space to put it on vehicles. Um, when Fred was talking earlier about doing interviews in private, keep in mind my office is in the back corner here. So if he's conducting something and I wasn't aware of it, I could easily barge in without a notice or early notification. It's real easy to interrupt an important meeting in this space area. It's the same thing if we've got instructors or there's an officer for the weekend and they bunk out here if there's no other space to give them housing. We interrupt them if we've got a call here, and that's just the nature of a fire station. So that makes things a little difficult. Fred spoke on similarities to do combined training. This space is not allowing us now with different regulations and rules. We have to go out in the garage space. Air quality has been leased at not very good. In the summertime, it gets quite warm in here and stuffy. We only got one window in the rear in the bathroom to cross ventilate. No air conditioning. That's what compounds Fred's for storage, for temperature control. I put in my office, which used to be a closet, historically the cooler to the old store. I didn't have a window. I actually took the time and put in a window. I can't reach it easily to open it up. So it's a space that has worked over the years, but it's obsolete now. So that's what I'm hopeful that some changes could be made.
Excuse me. Thank you very much, Murt. Philo asked Fred and Murt, is this a function of increasing sophistication of the various services or increases in the island population? He's saying, I am thinking summer or both. So he's asking, is all of this increased demand a function of the increase in population, or is it the need for more services for other reasons? I believe is the question.
Well, a little of both, meaning the increase of population puts more requests on EMS side. Fire side stays about the same. It's more on the EMS that gets more demand with the population. Your age group is getting in the older bracket, so ambulance runs have been much more than the fire side. But a lot of the restrictions to adequately work in this space is due to state and local requirements, COVID being the biggest factor, because the limited amount of occupancy in the room for a number of people. Compounds, training plans. We have to be more creative. We have in the past broke up the group and do 2 or 3 sessions of the same subject, just to use the training aids that are here in the building. So a little bit of that.
Thank you. Christine Robb asked, with climate change and sea level rise, can you address getting emergency vehicles to Pripyat?
Well, what I have submitted way back in early 2013 to the Board of Selectmen, I did a whole list of total of 10 reasons why we should have a north substation that's basically a garage space of 2 bays to hold 2 vehicles. And I've kept a history log of how many times we've been hindered to get from north to south or south to north due to storms, microburst, things like that. That first time of that big microburst, we had an alarm call at the school. Everybody that was on the north end of the island got stopped at the Narrows, couldn't go any further. And anybody, firefighters that were happened to be on the south end, couldn't drive to us by vehicle, couldn't get to the station. I had to get somebody on foot to run up to the school, make sure that alarm was safe, which we took care of that. We took all that afternoon, all through the evening, cut a path to the ferry of all the trees that were down every pole length, and wormed our way through. And with what equipment we had on hand and what we could get by means at the station, by little scooters getting here and getting the chainsaw and bringing it up to us. And so there's been a number of times when we've been isolated north and south. That's one reason to campaign for something up on the north end. There are many other examples. A lot of the firefighters live on the north end. So in the evening hours, if we got a call on the north end, we got to come all the way down to the station and head back up north. So there's a time element of response. I say I've handed around that letter of reasonings for a north substation. So I'm still desiring for something of that nature. And the town already owns property up there. That's just when you enter into Cliff Hools, there's a vacant spot there. We looked at the transfer station area, but I'm thinking that the transfer station and Public Works is going to have some growth in that area. So that has to be worked out and debated. As to the sea rise concerns, time will tell, but I know that committee has pinpointed some areas in town of concerns and come up with a slate of options to address that.
Great. Thank you very much, Murt. Yeah, I think sea level rise and microbursts, and we're going to have continuing challenges of that sort. And I think there are a lot of people that would support a fire substation in the north end of the island. So hopefully that's a part of what we get done as well. I really want to say, Murt, how much I appreciate all the work you've done for the island for so many years. I wanted to ask you, there'll be other opportunities, but is there anything else that you'd like to add now about what works? I guess what I want to say is, what makes it difficult to do your work in the current space, given the increase in the demands on services and the need for more space to do more training? Is there anything you want to add to what you've already said, I guess?
Right off quick, I can't think of anything else to add. I know where both services, fire and EMS, are still interested in anybody out there in the community that's willing to participate in either organization. I've got about 10 firefighters, a mixture of ages, and I could use a lot more. EMS has been getting a few through the driver program, and some are taking advanced training. Fire department used to have, way in the beginning, I used to have 20, 25 members. I'm down to that 10. And that's the same situation both in state, out of state. Everybody's got the same issue. There's many challenges of why. Some of it's salary or pay price. Some of it's availability to pull away from their family time. Some have training limitations or physical limitations, but there's a job for everybody. Out of my 10 membership, not everybody are interior firefighters. They all have designated jobs of what they're capable of doing. But any improvement would make the membership, both fire and EMS, if they feel like the facility is more accommodating to everybody, it makes it more enjoyable to come and do gatherings and trainings. So I don't know what else to really add.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And both of you, I wanted to say to our viewers that we will be having another community Zoom, information Zoom. It'll be next week with Dorie Henning, Director of Islesboro Health Center. Her Zoom will be held on Wednesday, January 26th at 11 a.m. I hope to see you all there. In the meantime, my thanks to all of you, Fred and Murt, as well as our Master of Technology, Michael Hutcherson, for making this a very interesting discussion. And thanks again, Fred and Murt. You have a great day.
Thank you.